No, I don't have any video.
Let's go ahead.
Could you hold on a second? I have no video and I was gonna want to do that tonight.
Let me know when you're ready, Carol.
I'm asking Paul, I have no video. It says the host has stopped it.
Thank you.
Got it, Carol?
No, I could see the council chambers though. I guess it's all right.
Okay, at this time,
All right.
right, this time I'm going to call the special meeting of August 10th, 2020 to order. Brett, I believe I see you in the chambers. Will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Carol, go ahead now.
Okay, ready?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. They take forever.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Velazquez,
Here.
Councilmember Lenore,
Present.
Councilmember Resendez,
Present.
Vice Mayor Spencer,
Present.
Interim City Manager Miller,
Present.
City Attorney Epperson,
Here.
Interim Reynoso.
Here.
Thank you. The agenda for the City of Hollister City Council special meeting of August 10th, 2020 was posted on the bulletin board on August 7th, 2020 at 5:36 p.m. for Government Code Section 54956. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move to item A1.
Christine, can you touch the resolution? Good evening, Mayor and Council members. We are doing this special meeting to discuss the potential change in downtown closure and maybe the potential use for parklets / street cafes. Great. So to introduce the San Diego street closure is currently due in September 13th, which we are able to extend if we would like to. So staff started to receive complaints about the looks of the downtown closure when we had the wind screens up. So that made staff decide to prepare a questionnaire, which we're going to partially present this evening. From the results, staff thought it was best to have a special meeting to discuss the closure or come up with an alternative. So the City of Hollister conducted a survey. We sought the input of the interested parties, i.e. the business owners and community members. The survey consisted of 5 questions. We had 518 participants in the survey, and we had actually got 273 written responses back. So 82% of the participants were community members. Another 7.8 were the business owners. 31.5% would like the outdoor setup to continue with an option that do not close the street. And then you can see the other percentages on the graph. So then we received 217 responses to the following questions. We want to hear from you what other ideas or thoughts you would like to share with regarding the street closure. And we noticed usually over half of them said they would like to see parklets or equivalent to San Juan Bautista, which has the one-way and parklets in their downtown area. So then that led to the question, do we open San Diego Street, yes or no? And like I said, the temporary closure right now has been extended to Sunday, September 13th, which, like I said, we can extend at any time. So do we open it? Like I say, yes or no. So if we do open it, we can look at two ways or a one-way traffic. We can include diagonal parking on either side or both sides. Maybe have additional stop signs. If we do open it, it would improve public safety for your police officers to respond or your ambulance services also. Does reduce the future cost of opening and closing the street. Currently, right now, the cost is the same as the farmer's market. The farmer's market is going to be indexed. The opening will allow freight type activities, and then the use of parklets. With closure, we could start using parklets or street cafes. Or if you want to just open up, you can go back to just plan on doing nothing, which I hope is not the case, but it is a possibility. If we don't open 70th Street, we continue the outdoor dining like it is. Look at more of a promenade style. When COVID goes away, we can look at more activities for downtown, like kid games, cornhole, the big Connect Fours. There's different activities we can do. But one question would be how to deal with the traffic or parking, or do we need to completely change the look of the closure? So we keep mentioning parklets or street cafes. So what are parklets? So the origin of parklets started in San Francisco. It was, here's some different designs that came up, which then led to like a parking day. So parklets, you see, they have different activities, can be expansion of the restaurants, whatever imagination wants to come up with, you can make a parklet. So the purpose of parklets. Parklets repurpose part of the street next to the sidewalk into public spaces for outdoor experiences. They're typically applied into one or more on-street parking spaces where sidewalks prevent the installation of traditional sidewalk cafes. Parklets provide amenities like seating, greenery, bicycle parking, and art. Benefits of parklets. Parklets provide an opportunity for year-round seating by enhancing the pedestrian environment. They make the street more safe, more comfortable for people for shopping, running errands, accessing services in their neighborhoods. And then parklets can serve as neighborhood anchors and destination points, providing spaces for neighbors to gather and get to know one another, which could be after COVID goes away. So most of your parklet programs or street cafes have goals. We have listed a few down below, but if we did a parklet program, we would come up with the same kind of things. Like one of the main things is street safety or designs and things like that. So what is allowed? So most parklets are used for outdoor dining for public use, table service for food and beverages, which could include alcohol permitted, customer waiting areas, stores to display the merchandise, or maintain social distancing requirements. Most of the time, parklets are done into a certain location. Right now, we would be looking at like the downtown business area, but it could be expanded if council desire. So most places have a location criteria, or how far they need to be apart, how they would look in the different parking locations, and same thing, just more safety ideas for for driveways and corners. So one of the things that everybody's usually concerned about with parklets is safety. So you would have guidance where you don't put them over the interrupt utilities or fire hydrants. You want to make sure they're in an area where the speed limit is 25 or less. And usually that's one thing when we were studying this, parklets tend to slow traffic down naturally. And then also you wouldn't have it in a transit area. Also the things that we would look at if we had a program would be the different colored curb areas, and also looking for how they would interact with long-term city projects or future city projects. So like I said, safety wasn't one of the main areas of parklets. So there are different designs for the parklets, especially with the barriers. Usually you have a kind of like what they say, a crush area, like planter blocks, you have stop blocks, and devices to show traffic that there is a parklet up ahead. And one thing we need to make sure that you have is accessibility for ADA access. Same thing with the program, you would have basic requirements. One of them would be to keep the area free of debris, free of grime or graffiti, keeping if you had plants, keeping the plants healthy, no dead plants, and so that you would have the same kind of thing. One of the main reasons why we've been looking at parklets compared to the current downtown seating area is to transfer the insurance requirement or the liability onto the business owners away from the city. So that would be one thing that we would require if we switch to parklets. So, like I said earlier, there's a lot of different creative designs. You can see on the top left-hand side, there's a art project for kids that we can use for empty buildings. If we want to cover them up, we can use parklets to distract people from the look of the empty buildings. Or, like I say, you have all the different styles. Here are some ones from concept to reality. So, like I say, the designs that are infinite. And we still encourage people to use their private parking lots. You can see from one of our 2 downtown areas that have done that, and we really appreciate it. They're very one of the nicer areas of the downtown currently. So if parklets, what's next? Financially, who pays for the cost? Do we do a loan, even maybe the CARES Act for the parklets, or waiving fees like encroachment permits? San Juan Bautista, that's what they've done. Another question would be, how much do we charge for the parking spaces and when? One thing we see parklets would be advantageous during the rally. It's going to be one of the high sought after places. And maybe what we would do is have the annual fee for the parking spots to be paid after the rally, because that's where most of the businesses are going to make their revenue from those parklets. And with the parklets, do we want to have 1 design, 3 or 5 for people to choose from? Pre-approved plans. If we have pre-approved plans, it would be quicker assembly time for the parklets. And then one of the concerns was the start date. The staff is recommending that when restaurants can do the indoor dining again, that would be a good time, because currently restaurants need to be outside so that they can spread out and have a nice social distance. With parklets, it's going to be a little bit less space because it's inside through the diagonal parking. So it won't be as much space, so that once they're indoors, that would allow the spreading out of their customers. So in summary, staff has been looking at the closure or the parklet and street cafes as a long-term benefit to the city, the citizens, and most importantly, the businesses of the downtown district. This is not really to be looked at as a COVID solution. It is more, or to look at a long-term potential for the downtown. And like staff would look like direction on, do we open up San Benito Street or not? And to look at parklets if we were going to open up the street. Like I say, a construction design, how many do we want, and maybe start looking at financial options. So the recommendation from staff in looking at the survey results is to have a one-way between 4th Street to South Street. We're not tied to any one direction, but the suggestion was north to south, because the fire station, number 1, is on the north end of the closure, so that would allow an easier flow. To do diagonal parking on both sides of the street, and to use parklets for the future. So that ends our presentation, and we are open for questions from the council.
Any questions from council?
I do have questions.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Hang on, I'm just reading my notes, Brett. I guess my biggest question, or my most pressing concern is, do we have it? So as far as the CARES Act money, so I know that the county took money for the CARES Act, and I know they found themselves in this situation where they've got to come up with a mask ordinance. And if they don't, they're at possibly going to get their CARES Act money rescinded. So do we have that money? Can it be used for this? Are we required to adopt an ordinance? I know I'm opening a whole can of worms. And then I'll like to talk to you about like the possibility of us doing a loan with that money and then possibly paying for half. Like can you tell me a little bit more about that? That kind of is my biggest question.
Yeah, what I would ask, I realize this is not going to be done in one night, is that we would probably ask for another special meeting based on the direction that we've got from council. That would be the suggestion. If we look at CARES Act money, we would look at that further, look at how we could do the loans. We can't use the CARES Act money for capital improvements, but we would have to look at a way to use the funds, let's say, for a loan or have some kind of appropriate wording so that it would help out both the city and the businesses.
Okay, so long story short, that's probably something we talk about at a different time is what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to get the direction from council so we explore that more.
Okay, sounds good. When you said the CARES Act money, I just wanted a little bit more information about that as far as what our requirements are. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Brett, I have some comments and some questions, and is staff on the line?
They should be.
All right, let me ask the first question. I believe the street is 60 feet wide. Is that about right? About 60 foot?
Yeah, between 55 and 60, that's correct.
Más o menos. Okay. So, you know, we talked about some of these ideas originally, but we wanted to get started so we can do it in a safe manner. But I went out there and I did some measurements looking at this, and I like the one-way street, and I love also what San Juan Bautista, and I think the city over there has just been doing a great job with everything. But if I measured from the curb, and if I measured out 21 feet on each side, it gives us about 16, 18 feet for a center pathway. And I would think we'd want to be going south, because that's, as people are coming into town, they can drive right through our downtown. But that gives us about 16 to 18 feet. But it also gives the anybody who wants to set up a little more room. My early issues with the parklets was they're very small in space. And I think right now, especially during COVID, we need as much space as possible. And actually, it'll kind of help us out down the road, too, to get more restaurants out there if they have enough space. And I laid that out. If we redesign some of the parking for diagonal, we can make this thing work in a very positive way. And if we just have to, again, we're still going to need to use the K rails. Of course, we got to find a way to, if it's going to be more permanent, to decorate them, but also have the reflective strips on them to make sure cars can see them. But I think if we did that, we could do this in a safe manner and protect some of these areas, but also give the restaurants or shops the room they need, so they're not it's not such a confining space, which I think would help get the results we're looking for. Rather than just kind of stuffing everybody in, we give it room. The question about how do we get these things set up? Do we go with one plan, two plans, three plans, or do we let some of the restaurant owners be creative and design what they want to design? I think that's, for me, I'm open to people doing it. I think we have to, of course, do it in a tasteful manner. But definitely some sort of deck system has to be designed so that the surface is level. And that's the biggest problem we had early on when we first talked about this. The issue we had was there's such a steep fall towards the curb that if you sit in that area, you're going to fall over. but towards the center, it's a little more level. So we need to come up with a way to level that off with a kind of like a deck system. And I think that would kind of make it kind of fun out there. And of course, people can put lights up. I love what Running Rooster did out there. They did a great job with their facility. I think a lot of our restaurant owners can do a really good job out there too, or some of the shops that might be wanting to use it. And then I think the other question is going to be, how many spaces do we give up for each restaurant? Yeah, it does take some space out there. And but I do think if we're having the diagonal parking, that will help make up some spots and keep everybody happy. On the other side, if you're headed north, we're going to have to put the barriers up to make sure people can't come in from the north side of the street or headed north on the street also. So we're going to have to think about those items also. And that's all I have at this point.
Yeah.
Any other comments from council, or Brett, do you want to respond to any of that?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Let Brett respond. Go ahead.
Yeah, cover your responses for allowing businesses to choose. We did find a lot of the different cities have a design committee, so they would just look through and see if they have the approval, so that you would have some consistency and you a little bit of control over the design, so you don't have any eyesores downtown. Not that our current businesses would have any eyesores, but it does protect you for the future. And like I said, we would like the parkouts to be as big as they possibly could, so that, like you say, it does allow a little more seating in the future also. Yeah.
Just to go back on that, I think we can lay out that, like I said, the 21 feet on each side, so we can visually see it. And I know even diagonal, the parking is it's going to be further out than the parking spaces. That's why I'm saying we are going to need the K-rail either way, but I think it would help set those out in a way that's in a safer manner. And I'm personally more a person that leans towards being more eclectic than I am everybody having the same exact look. But the problem is you are going to have people that aren't going to dress them up very well. And that's another issue. Another issue we need to address soon is the smoking issue. People have been smoking out there. We got to put a stop to that. And of course, music. How do we have a volume that everybody can live with? Because everybody wants a different choice of music. Thank you. Councilmember Spencer, did I hear you speak?
Yes, I had a question. Brett, you said there's between 1 and 5 designs, and you said that you've already talked to some of the restaurant owners about a design?
No, with council's direction, that's what we're kind of asking. Do you want to have a program where it's 1, 3, or say, let's make it easy, you have 3 designs to choose from? We can go on this. We want direction from council. What you want? It will be easier to approve if we had, say, 3 designs, but we're fine with restaurants having their own design. That's easy enough.
Actually, I would go with 3 designs. You don't want to overwhelm them, and the majority, whatever the majority picks, I think that should be the design that the whole street goes. I think it should be 1 design, and it should be uniformed all the way down, and each business owner needs to comply, so it does look clean and it looks inviting, not just so thrown out there. So that's my suggestion: 3 designs, majority rules, and every one of them has to be exactly the same. That's all I have to say.
And then also, we are on, and then also, I remember part of my answer for you. With our street, there are different designs out on Google that show designs that will, of other streets that have curvatures like ours. So there's numerous designs out there that would accommodate the issue that you have. And then for ADA requirements, they have to be flat. So they have to be flat with our curve. And so they do look nice and professional.
Well, if we could get 3 designs like that, I think that would be a great idea. And then, like I said, let the restaurant owners look at them, and whatever the majority is of what they want, then I think that's where we should go. And like I said, it should be uniformed all the way down on both sides. And I think it should be a one-way street going north to south. And that's it for me.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
I do have more comments. I thought we were just taking questions, but I do have a couple of suggestions.
Oh, can you hear me? I'm sorry, I was on mute and I've been trying to comment. So do you hear me now? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Ro.
Carol, we'll let Roland speak and then we'll come back to you real quick. Okay?
But I haven't spoken the first time, so the rules are each council member speaks once, and then then you go the second round.
I'll
Okay.
tell you what, Carol, you're right. So go ahead. Go ahead,
Thank
Carol.
you. Well, I'm sorry, it was on mute. I was wondering why you didn't hear me. That's my bad. Okay, so I heard everything. I think I could live with a one-way down the center line. I'm concerned again. Let's bring up those cast iron pipes in the water lines. We know they're about 12 feet off the east side of the San Benito Street, so you have to contend with those. I'm not sure how we're going to handle that. We don't want to do so much permanent things, and then we have a water main break. Come on, let's not forget we have them. Not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but that's the reality. So we got to think water main break when we're planning this out. I think as far as the design, I don't know that they all have to be the same. Certainly the business's size and customer base may dictate, obviously, the size of their parklet. Some have a larger frontage, some have a narrow frontage. Not sure if they're going to expand a little bit into another business's frontage. My other question is, are we talking about other things, retail uses on top of the restaurant business? I did hear that come up. I wasn't quite prepared for that. So are we also lumping in retail for Parklet, or is it just restaurant consumers at this point? I think Ignacio makes a really good point as far as the roadway. We will have to probably assist some of those downtown owners to get that level surface going. Maybe they can handle it, but certainly it's got to be leveled out. It needs to have the handicap wheelchair accessibility to all of those slots coming off of the sidewalk. So, and I think they all have them now, but we'll need to make sure they're all ADA accessible. So again, one way, and let me ask you, are we talking then of stopping it at South Street so that my block is just gonna open up normal? I did talk to a couple neighbors, and while they love the street closure, we're all enjoying the peace and quiet. And I think it's a little inconvenience that South Street is closed. But here's my other comment is, if we're gonna close the street, and I know Running Rooster's beautiful, it's beautiful, but if we close the street there, and now they have no parking for their business, so they have no on-site parking, they utilize their whole lot, and then we close the street as well. So you say you prefer it to be in the parking area, but why would you prefer that when you have a parklet? So maybe you can tell me why we would prefer to use the parking. Remember, we have parking issues downtown. So if you're going to make it permanent, obviously we're going to lose a big parking lot there, kind of big. But essentially, Running Rooster has no on-site parking. So it's going to bleed all over into those streets. It already does, but it's probably worse now. So those are my comments for now. It looks like the majority of the folks, the 31% do want to see the parklets without the do not close street. I'll add this too. I did go to San Juan. They got 2,500 people over there. We have 40,000. Our 40,000 do not drive well. So if we're going to run a center lane down there while people are eating, which I don't like it, but if that's what folks want, I really hope that the speed limit will be 15 miles an hour. And yeah, you're going to need a stop sign on every corner to get that. But we can't have them going by like they always do, going 35 miles an hour down the street. And it's noisy because, when those bikes, you're sitting there in your chair, those Harleys come through. It's very irritating, very hard on the ears. So it's just some things to think about. Thank you very much.
So one thing about parklets, they can be moved. So if there's something going on in the street, like repair or anything like that, we can move them. One plan would be for, say, Running Rooster is to maybe continue the diagonal parking down, further down than South Street or on their side of the road. Also, the return, if we did do north to south, is have traffic turn right on South and then head up to East Street for more of a return traffic.
So you will be opening up the 800 block. Is that what you're saying? I don't
Correct.
care. I mean, I love it closed, but it's not about me. So will we be inclined to open that?
Correct.
And then they'll use South Street. Okay. Yeah, I mean, what about the water lines?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The parklets are not meant to be, they're permanent in nature, but they are movable because they were built on top
Okay.
of it.
I guess we'll be removing it really quickly when that 12-inch main goes.
Correct.
Thank you. Those are my concerns, and I'll leave it there for now. Thank you. We'll hear from the public.
Thank you, Carol. And don't
Thank
worry,
you, Ignacio.
if the
Thank
main
you.
goes, the parklet will float away anyway, so we'll be okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Councilman Sanders?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too am in favor of doing like a center lane down the middle from north to south specifically. I think we really want to capture that traffic coming in, especially on the weekends. I don't like those barricades, and I understand that they need to be there for safety, but can we do something in a creative way to cover them up? Either put planters in the front or both sides, Brett. I really like, yeah, that's another thing I thought, but it might be a little expensive. Like we can do some type of vinyl wraps or something, but obviously they're there for safety. I completely agree that they need to be there, but they're just a bit of an eyesore for me. We can put some pallets in front of them. I love what Payne's did. And I think if you've gone over there and seen it, they've got these pallets up on the fence. It is just absolutely gorgeous. I love what Running Rooster is doing. But Payne's, I really like that style, that like rustic chic style. I think we can do something really creative with those barricades. They're just a bit of an eyesore for me. So if we're gonna have them out there, which we need, let's do something with them. As far as the parklets themselves, I don't think that we should just do one design and have the majority vote on that. I think we need to, if you're gonna do, I'm okay because I think they should be able to be creative and to express themselves to fit their business model and their needs, right? But if you're gonna actually narrow it down, then I'd like to see it narrowed down to no more than 3 designs. And then with some flexibility, like if they want to, tweak that one design a little bit, that's gonna work for them and their neighbor, then why not? But to narrow it down just to one design and majority rules, I think that's not going to work for everybody. We can't do that, and it's just not a very appealing look to me. I think we need to have some character and let people express themselves how it's going to be best beneficial for their business. I don't necessarily like the idea of waiting until indoor dining. I think we need to get this done as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, and as soon as possible, because our businesses are hurting and they need more business now, and this is really going to help to create that environment, ambiance to help boost their business. So I'd like to see us go after this aggressively. I don't really want to overcomplicate it by just, in my opinion, by, like I said, I don't want to overcomplicate it. We just need to get it done. Oh, and then I really, for me personally, I really like that open area. If we can get a couple open areas down there, and I don't know if we're going to do it at Parks and Recs, and we can just, I don't know, put some of that fake grass out there and allow some of the retails to use it, like maybe rent it out like a community calendar or something. Let them put a pop-up shop up there, sprinkle those throughout downtown, some nonprofits to hold events, like little art events, some social distancing exercise down there would be really cool. And even possibly like wine tasting here and there, as long as it's done safely. And I think we can really do some cool things with that. So those are my general thoughts. Thank you.
One more comment, Mayor.
Go ahead, Carol.
How will we handle the side business of poor decisions? It's there in the 7th Street right away. So will you extend that over there, or will they have to shift to the Main Street side?
Oh, I can answer
Because
that.
they're on a
Some corner businesses, I mean, it would be envisioned that they could have parklets both on the side street and on the main street, or say like a Payne's wanted a parklet in front of theirs. I mean, it would be allowed anywhere in the downtown area.
Okay, so we're talking parklets, not just San Benito, but other opportunities on the side streets. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
And
Thank
answer also your question about retail, San Juan Bautista
Yes.
does have retail or allows the retail. So if they want to have a seating area or maybe a display for the day, they're able to do that.
That's great. That's great. I think we got to give the non-restaurants some opportunity as well.
Okay, I have something to say.
Go ahead.
I've got an idea. I got an idea. I know Roland was talking a little bit ago about decorating the K-rails. Why don't we do involve the students, involve K through 12 students in Hollister, and have them, let's do an art contest and have them submit artwork, and we have the kids decorate the K-rails and decorate downtown. I think especially right now, that's what these kids need.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Okay.
If I can, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilor Resendez.
I'm sorry, I just thought of a couple more things. I mentioned this earlier, Brett, when you bring it back, if we could extend the time to the end of the year, I think that's more, it's just gonna make more sense. I am in favor of what Councilmember Lenore said. Let's extend this out. And I thought I seen a map on there to include all of downtown. It shouldn't just be the main street. Like if other people downtown that are in that area want to have parklets, then let's give them the option and they meet the requirements. And then, about the payback, I personally would like to see some type of loan program or some type of investment. It doesn't have to be the full cost, but I'd like to see some investment from business owners over time and within reason. And then as what Councilmember Spencer said, yeah, art's very subjective, right? I think that's a great idea, and we can get some vinyl wrap. So if we do like what I tried to do over at Central Avenue, what we did do, I'm sorry, was we asked for the children at Calaveras to submit a bunch of artwork, and they did. And then we're gonna get a graphic designer who graduated from there to come up with like a designer logo. So I like the idea of getting children's artwork, but I think it needs to be done like by a professional, ultimately, like the design, because they can take all those ideas and come up with a theme from them and a more pristine professional look that we can use to brand our city and stuff, not just downtown, but throughout Hollister. So I like that idea, but I would like to get a graphic designer involved to just clean it up and get a really nice concept out of that. And we can use that for branding throughout the entire city. But I don't know if we're gonna have time to do that like right now as fast as I want, but I definitely support that.
Okay, and Roland, I'm glad you support that, but the idea is to get the community involved. And I don't see taking children's artwork that they submit and then giving it to a professional to redo it the way he thinks it should be done. We are a community, and this is a community project. It should show community togetherness, not having artwork. If you want that done, then just hire a professional to come in and do it, and don't ask the kids to help at all. Because what you're doing is you're breaking their hearts. I can't believe you, of all people, would suggest something like that. That is horrible. I can't believe you did that.
Councilmember Spencer, hang on. Let's hang on.
Briefly.
No, hang on for a second. I want to make sure we're all talking about the same things here. We all agree. I think I heard everybody's agreeing on the one-way north to south. We're going to get some measurements. I think we agree that we need to move sooner rather than later. I think I heard that from most of us. There's different style of parklets. We can make some decisions on that together. We all agree, I think, that just the K-rails alone are pretty ugly. We agree, and we'll come up with a concept on that. But I think tonight what we need to do is give direction as far as the pathway here, as far as the road, what we're looking for, so we can move to that. And of course, then we can start talking about some of the art, what we're looking for in the art, and some of these different ideas. And I think tonight we're just trying to understand direction, the width. I'm hearing some comments about allowing parklets on some of the side streets was the other idea you guys had. That's great. Diagonal parking, of course, safety. So I think what the staff is needing here is the direction, if we're agreeing to go in that direction, so they can start coming back with some plans, some ideas.
I'd like to clarify my point if I can.
No problem. Let me just finish this off. And of course, how are we going to finance this through the city and allow the business owner to hire the contractors to get the work done, so it's done much more quickly than if the city tried to do it. And of course, professional carpenters can do that work pretty darn quick and make it look really nice. So I think that's what we need to make sure we're still focused on. I know we're gonna have a lot of conversations on different views of this, but I don't think this is the time to be arguing about what that final look is gonna be. Go ahead, Councilmember Resendez.
Oh, yeah, just very briefly. So a very common practice, and we did this with the utility boxes, is to take different concepts of art and then hire a graphic designer to manipulate them to get the final design. So that's what I was referring to, and I just felt like I wanted to give a little bit more explanation for that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So Brett, do you have anything else you want to add, or?
Yeah, there's some time, but by looking at the screen, I think there's some people for public comment.
Yeah,
Okay.
wait to hear from them.
If we're ready to go to public comment, let's go ahead and start bringing them on. If the council's ready.
Yes.
Go ahead, guys.
Okay, in the audience, I have Sal Mora.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. I think it's a good idea to come up with a solid plan. The biggest thing, as far as, you know, with regards to design concept, the biggest thing I think we need to look at first is the ability for our first responders to be able to get to the emergency situations. I think with the downtown fire, I think maybe Brian hopefully opened up everyone's eyes that maybe the design concept may not be the safest one that we currently have. Looking at different counties and cities, or especially cities, the way they've designed theirs is, I feel it's better for first responders to be able to react and get to certain situations. The other thing, besides just looking at and trying to help the restaurant owners, we should be looking at all the different types of business owners downtown, because everyone's going to be affected. So we need to make sure the design, maybe an opportunity for an essential business, and almost all businesses are essential, but that are not in the food industry, maybe have an opportunity to have one of these spaces downtown. And definitely it should be one-way road. You can start on one side and maybe shift over to the other side, so it doesn't have to be just a straightaway. I know we have some restaurants on both sides of the street that are set up, so it'd be a little easier to do that. If you're gonna have one-way traffic, it's definitely potentially, like Brett mentioned, potentially having a turnoff for one of the ways. So there's a lot of options. I'm just worried that we're kind of making this a little bit bigger than what it needs to be. It's good to have choices, but when you have too many choices, sometimes you're going to be stuck without making a decision because there's just way too many options. So it's good to have those options, but let's trim it down. And yes, it's probably going to be a long-term project, but let's make sure that we're thinking about safety first before anything else. Thank you.
Who's next?
Peter Hernandez.
Christine, real quick before you do that, Mayor, if you
Peter,
may.
hold off 1 second, please.
So
Go ahead, sir.
I always like to just kind of remind everybody with their current closure that you'll see two different colored barriers. You'll see the white ones and then you'll see the red ones. The red ones are the plastic ones, just so everybody knows why we have the two different colors. That's so the public safety knows those are the ones that can be moved so that they can get access to the closed.
Oh,
I
I didn't know that.
that.
okay.
Brett, thank you so much for bringing that up. You're right.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
Most people don't know that the fire department had the plan from the very beginning. They had it from day one. Nothing got approved without the fire department's approval originally. And I know there's a lot of rumors out there, but that's exactly what it is. So they can get access, and they had their plans. So thank you for bringing that up, Brett. Go ahead, Peter. Mr. Hernandez.
Peter Hernandez, please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. I'm super excited and thankful that you guys are talking about this. This is a huge deal for the downtown, and for those that don't travel downtown, the big struggle and when it comes to commerce is a lot of variables, right? Parking is what you guys are talking about. That's one of them, but the other part also is foot traffic, things, safety is definitely, and we actually met a bunch of businesses and talked, and we basically even engaged with Brett, with the city manager, and we're super thankful for his engagement because he's really been listening. And so the bottom line is when it comes to safety and foot traffic, they go hand in hand, because if you slow down the traffic, to a certain extent, the idea of going north to south is definitely what the businesses that I've talked to, that Brett talked to, supported. Because by default, when you're slowing down traffic, when you're making it go in the opposite direction of a commuter traffic, which obviously people use, historically, they've taken San Benito Street as a commuter route out of town. And that's always been a struggle, right? Because then people are barreling through there, they're in a hurry. So if you go north to south, it slows it down. And especially if you have stop signs, that's another safety element that I think that could be considered. I know that other businesses support it. That becomes another benefit. But a huge thing when it comes to foot traffic also is a vibe. The warm, inviting, family-friendly environment. And if you think about it, also when it comes down to that one-way route, it opens up the traffic to actually feed into even the side streets and those folks that they're looking at patronizing. A lot of customers are very much driven by window shopping, and that doesn't mean they're actually just retail shopping. They could be window shopping their restaurant, right? What is the vibe? Yeah, the excitement. I've heard the mayor say before, nothing drives, traffic like more traffic, right? The excitement that people see when they're driving through there, walking through there. So the idea of a one-way street opens things up. It encourages the flow of traffic, and then when it comes down to I would say when it comes down to the barriers, I get it. That's to a certain extent necessary. But if there's a way to get away from the construction site look, I think that would be really encouraging. Again, getting back to that vibe, really, really important. And then consistency. I agree with Councilman Spencer on the consistency part. I do think it'd be a good idea to have a little bit more of a personal take on each business. And yes, there should be buy-in from the business and being very engaged. And I know a lot of these businesses are very much engaged. And those that aren't able to show up today, they gave me permission. Peter Lago was one of them that said, "You can speak for me, Peter," because we've been really engaged together about this whole thing, that they support it. So it becomes when it comes to business, if you have a business next to you that drives foot traffic, you're going to benefit. So it becomes literally a partnership of the downtown business community working together and to a certain extent helping each other, because if we do what's best for our business, it's going to benefit not only our own foot traffic, but our neighbors. So the only other thing I would think about to encourage is really maybe a marketing plan that drives that traffic that comes off of the 25 instead of going through, around us. That if there's a way to kind of highlight that we have a downtown, that it's vibrant, that it's exciting, then all of a sudden you might have folks, instead of driving around us, driving through us, if their destination is Pinnacles or Hollister Hills, or even just, the River Park area.
Peter, your time's up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. And I have a feeling Mr. Hernandez's display is going to have a surfboard somewhere. Just my suspicions. Thank you very much for your comments. Next person. You have
Michelle
the timer.
Perry?
Sure.
Hi, this is Michelle Perry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to kind of keep it focused a little bit because the whole idea of this thing is to open up the businesses and allow them to make more money. So I think that the more simple you can keep it can expedite the opening of the parklets. I think it's an absolutely brilliant idea. I think that the city manager is amazing and that he to present to us and come up with such a great idea for Hollister. We've needed something that would bring some pedestrian friendly, creative environment downtown. It's been needed for years and years. I've been working downtown for almost 38 years and I have been wanting something like this. I think he's brilliant. He's brilliant for sure. I think the north to south is amazing because it does stop the traffic. I had a couple of businesses on San Benito Street and the traffic, my complaint has always been the traffic has been way too fast. For years, I have said they needed a stop sign on every single corner. I've seen 2 people get hit by cars. And I think it's time. It's time to do it north to south where people are driving through. San Benito Street is not a commuter lane. It should not be treated as a commuter lane. It should be a looky-loo kind of a space where people are driving through, looking through, and I agree with one of the council members that it should be slowed down to 15 miles an hour. I think that's a great idea. I think that the entry coming into it on 4th Street would be an absolute beautiful, it's an incredible opportunity to make something really special for the downtown right there. I don't know what that's going to look like, but it would be worth hiring an architect to design it properly and give it a really special look. I think it needs to be done quickly. Businesses are really hurting, and I actually agree with Roland. I think if with that one concept of on a great idea with the children's designs and stuff, but I really agree with him that it really needs to take those ideas from the children and it's not going to hurt their hearts. It's going to create a professional, really savvy look for our community and give a creative effect, but that's not important right now. Right now, it's important that they get the businesses open, give them space to make some money so we don't lose our community. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Courtney.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. I'm so glad I got in. I would like to say that San Juan Bautista downtown looks great. I think that we can absolutely take on some of their very easily put in space for traffic to drive down one way. There's a uniform look. And another thing I think that we can do is not try and reinvent the wheel. There are plenty of examples that we can call and ask other cities and counties how they've done their downtown. I think that this is a long time coming for downtown Hollister, and I'm super excited that this conversation is happening. I own a business. I was right downtown. I'm a few blocks away now, but I'm still super committed to helping my fellow business owners make the most of our history and bring people through our downtown as they're going to the Pinnacles and as they're going to the wine trail. I would like to caution a comment earlier on ordinances, passing ordinances in order to receive money. That sounds like the perfect definition of extortion. So I'd like to caution on that. But other than that, I think that it's great and I'm looking forward to see what happens. Have a good day, friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final speaker is Yvonne Quesada.
Oh, Savon.
Hello, my community. My name is Yvonne and I'm an artist and as well as a speaker. And I live in Hollister, California and from San Diego County, and hopefully this year, maybe, if everything works out. I don't know if I turn everything on time, but I'll be hopefully running for mayor. And these are ideas that the mayor should have already on the table. Our downtown closure potential changes, there's no more changes just to make it solid. Because closing downtown shows that our gem of downtown, which is in every city, your downtown is your gem. You want to make it, you want to have that environment of interaction. You want to have the environment of you walking and buying things from a boutique that's local and also seeing people eating at an eatery right there local as well. And having that like San Juan Bautista, I know that San Juan Bautista wanted to be more like a, kind of like a, you know how they have like little plazas in Mexico, they want to be like no cars, no nothing. And I think that's a beautiful idea. I think every city downtown should be like that. Because you want your downtown to be that that bold idea that shows its glow for the rest of the city. You know, you want to have more traffic down there that's consuming, not just parking your cars and driving your cars down there. It doesn't make sense. What makes sense is profits. Profits make sense because profits bring more activities for your community, more gestures of new parks, not the parks that we're building now either. But the main idea is that getting sanitation stations downtown. I mean, really. I'm sorry, but if you want to have downtown closure and potential changes, the only change that should be there is more sanitation stations. They need to be more visible because right now, I don't know how we expect to have a downtown closure when we don't have nowhere to clean our hands except the restaurants that are doing it on their own. When the city should be doing that. The mayor, oh, he's not there. The mayor should be having these ideas. You know, it seems to me for the last 8 years, the mayor's been needing our ideas to put together to do something for a city that's in a direction of moving forward. But I want to know what forward are we moving? Moving to a bigger landfill? Moving to a bigger area where you can't like have no interaction with each other in a more manner than a little park? Because that's what we're doing. We're not bringing any ideas that are going to bring tourism. Tourism is what brings money to the city because we're a business. We're not just a city, we're a business. And if you want your business to get bigger, you got to have tourists. I mean, Casa La Fruta, I mean, look at them. And they got more tourism than we do. And we're trying to talk about a downtown closure potential changes. We talk about things that are important, like more destinations. That's what we talk about. And it just gets me riled up because, you know, I know my community is ready for more than this. I know, I believe, and I see it around me. And to have our mayor not even here, it just shows how much potential he has in moving our city forward. Downtown closure, for sure, make it like solid, because if you're just gonna put plastic chairs and all that up, it's not luxurious, and also it's not gonna do when the rain comes. So you maybe wanna put it together with a plan with maybe like the downtown association and a couple other, you know, park engineers to put a plan together where you can have a solid downtown.
Thank you very much.
I'm
City
sorry,
manager.
Mayor, I have one more speaker.
Okay, go ahead.
If I can also address, we do have two downtown sanitation stations. Just for everybody to know that they are down there.
Elias Salinas.
Thank you, city manager, for letting people know.
And it looks like someone also has raised their hand again from Zoom. So one more after this.
Good afternoon, thank you. I want to thank the staff for all the work that they put into this project. Sorry if that's working. So anyway, you guys did a great job. I just wanted to correct Councilman Resendez. The CARES money is not attached to a mask ordinance. That is completely incorrect. We can discuss it later, but that's not correct. I'm disappointed that the survey that was not made public. It was posted that we were going to be talking about it. The survey was by the public, but it wasn't made public in the agenda packet so that I can review it. The only thing that I can remember from it is that because you keep mentioning that 31% of the survey approved the closing of downtown. I'm not against it, but I just want to know how many businesses are affected by closing the downtown. And what I mean by affected is how many are benefiting from it. And I don't know that there's more than 5 restaurants that are being affected by it. I would like to see that. I know that the mayor was against getting the Chinese restaurant on 6th Street to get 2 parking stalls, and they got 1. So now do we reconsider them to get the 2 parking stalls on 6th Street? How does that work? Also going along that, what about, I know you said that it includes all city streets, but what about Cozy Cup and 4th Street Eatery? Because they're on a main thoroughfare. Would they be affected, and would they be able to also allow to be able to use part of the roadway? So I'm sure that they would know whether they're involved in that or not. And I know that Sal Mora mentioned earlier, but I would like to hear from the police department and from the fire department tonight on their views of how they feel about this. Like, if they had an input, it may have been in the staff recommendation report, and again, that was not made public, so I don't know how the department feels about it. I have spoken to some firefighters about it, and I know how they do feel about it, but I would like to get on the public record from both the police department and the fire department. The cost and the design, I think, like Roland Rosendo said, I think it should be independent of each restaurant. If it's a Mexican restaurant, then their theme is going to be different design from the Chinese restaurant and from the Japanese restaurant and from Ohana. Ohana's going to have a Hawaiian theme. Then Katrina's is going to have more of a South American theme. So I think I don't think you can have everybody to be uniform. And then my one really important question that I have with regards to the level of ADA, if the parklet is ground level, does it have to be sidewalk level so it's ADA compliant? I wasn't sure about that. And then having a one-way street, what are we going to do about the car cruising? Because we have that car a group
Thank
of
you.
people that like to cruise on Fridays or Saturdays. How would that affect the businesses downtown? And how can we control the traffic?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And one more speaker is Marcy Houston. Marcy, go ahead.
Okay, just learning buttons here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so my concern, and it's kind of been my concern for the last year and a half, is the method of getting the communication out. I actually found out about the survey by accident because I just dared go on Facebook and Roland had shared it. And it just seems to me, if you're making permanent decisions or even semi-permanent decisions about the real estate that we've invested in that is directly affecting our economic benefit, yeah, the street, I'll just call it the street. We need to be involved. And I had asked before COVID, probably in January, that you set up a advisory group of the businesses downtown, and you kind of keep forgetting us side people, but whatever you do on San Benito Street affects us. And I really would like to be part of the conversation. I think it's great that you're trying to do something with downtown. I'm still kind of confused if you're just using downtown as a place for people to come, or you really want to support the businesses. Because, you know, doing all this stuff for the restaurants is awesome, but you've got other businesses down there and they need to have a voice. And it can't just be by happenstance that we randomly find out. You know, if I wasn't getting the email meetings, which I started a year ago, I wouldn't even know about this meeting. And it just seemed, if, you know, maybe we should be involved. So not one of you has an economic benefit of having a business on San Benito Street, yet here you are making decisions about me. And I know your heart's in the right place, and it really is, I know that, but you need to hear our input. Like right now, we're totally screwed because you haven't relined 7th Street with the parking. You should see all the wonky parking going on because there's no parking lines. I mean, that's a simple thing. But I just want to know that you're really doing this to help the downtown businesses and not just because you want to pop up a downtown experience. And your hanging baskets are going to go up in about 6 weeks and they're going to look amazing. Carol, are you still watering them?
Yes, I am.
They look
Every week.
good now, but these are going to be double the size.
Bring it on.
So I guess I would like to know, I mean, are you doing this for permanent or are you doing it for COVID? What is the deal and how can you better communicate with the businesses? Not one time has anybody ever come by my place except for when you shut down 7th. And you know I'm vocal. Maybe that's, yeah.
Why?
Maybe that's intentional. So what is the answer?
Thank you, Marcy. I have one more speaker. Katrina Soso. Katrina, go ahead. Kathina?
Yes.
Okay.
Kathina, take yourself off mute.
Is it good?
Yep, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. This is a great opportunity to help shape the future downtown. It is such a brief window of time. And I'm just curious on the time frame, especially since a retail business like mine, I have to plan way ahead and anticipate what's going to happen with the foot traffic and street closures, one-way traffic, etc. So I'm curious, again, with the holidays coming up, and this is such a brief window of opportunity, do we start with like the structure of a couple of parklets and then learn from what works and doesn't work? Or do we do it all? And also, can we possibly do the first phase before mid-October, possibly? Because after that, it's all about holidays, eating and shopping. So having a time frame spelled out helps the businesses a lot. And what are the first couple of steps that you're going to take in structure? And the second thing is that I understand the desire for traffic to go north to south. Is there anybody that can get in touch with Google? Because when people go to the Pinnacles or Hollister Hills, and including local residents, when they come from south to north to come into downtown, they'll be going and turning from South Street. So there's going to be a little bit of detouring. Not sure how Google Map can redirect that traffic. Just a heads up on that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I have nobody in the audience. Any
Okay.
more? And
That's it.
That's it. Yep.
Thank you. So as we wrap up, Brett, I see you back there. You know, I think it's important for everyone to understand that, and I think the consensus from the council was, just so we can make sure of this, is a north to south, southbound, one lane, and then we'd have diagonal parking on the sides where there are not the parklets. And the parklets would be based on those that want them. So I want to make sure people understand that the entire San Benito Street would not be a big parklet. It would only be where some of the restaurants or a retail outlet wanted to have one. So I want to make sure we're all on the same page on that, council, if that's what we understood it as.
Will we also do park diagonal on the San Benito Street as well? If that's what we're doing, right? Diagonal everywhere?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
All right.
And then,
thank you.
So I think the first step, Brett, and maybe city staff that's there, would be make sure we work with the traffic engineers. I think there is a request and a need to have that speed 25 or less and stop signs at each crossing to make sure it's safe. So we're not having.
It's already 25. It's not slow enough, and they go 35 through town.
Right,
that
and
has
then
to be reduced. There's no 25 going on.
Right, and this is what we have to work with the engineers to see what we can legally do. Especially with this.
Can I add some? I just want to say too, I really like you guys to include the public works director. He's the guy that kind of gets asked to do a lot of work down there. So please, Mike plays a very important role here. So I definitely want to hear from Mike.
Yeah, he definitely will be involved with this, with everybody making this happen. I just want to make sure we're all clear on this and we all understand that we're saying the same things. And as far as the art and some of these things, I would think that's going to be a little further down. Not that we don't want to move on that earlier, but I think that is a lot more conversations with the public and each other to kind of get an idea of what we're looking for. So that way we're not holding up moving forward on something like this.
Can I make
Is
a
that-
brief comment? Mr.
One,
Mayor?
one more addition, please.
Go ahead.
At some point, long range, we need a public restroom downtown. You realize that we're 40,000 plus here and with no public restroom? That's a long term. I know that's more long term, but why don't we have a restroom in our downtown?
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilmember Resendez, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just want to say, I really wanted to take a moment to thank the staff. I had one conversation with a downtown business owner. I called our city manager and he said, we're already working on it. This is not the first time. This has happened a couple of times where I had a conversation with somebody and then I call him and he said, oh yeah, we're working on it. It's been happening more and more frequently. So I just want to thank him and everybody else that's involved. And then I want to remind the public that I think we had like over 500 responses to this survey. So I want to thank all of them for participating. And of course, the business owners. We really want to hear from you guys. I think this was done really well. I'm extremely grateful to the staff for helping out with that. I just thought I wanted to make that point. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. City manager, did you have any comments?
Yeah, Christine wants to say something and then I'll talk after her.
May I just say that, what I think I've received is the direction is going to be to work on the one-way north to south, move sooner rather than later, different style of parklets, like I think you said 3, you guys decided 3 to 5 maybe. K-rails need to be improved because they're unsightly. Halfway up the road, and then you're going to talk about the art.
Correct. That's correct.
We'll need porta potties.
How to finance and allow business owners to hire, how to finance, I'll just leave it at that. And then direction with side streets, diagonal parkways. Is that correct?
Side streets would have parklets. I also, but we'd have to look at the depth of those depending on the parking spaces. And I think those, you're correct, being diagonal. Correct.
Just so we're clear on the direction.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Go
And
ahead,
then,
City Manager. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Survey?
Yeah, so for the survey results, they will be on the city's website, hopefully by sometime tomorrow. And also just kind of, and you're thinking of parklet designs, when we kind of say uniform design, it's usually on the exterior. The interior would be up to the businesses. And then also, really like to thank also the HDA and the chamber. They helped us get the message out. So, and then staff did a great job of getting this out as best we could. We did this for a week and we got it to as many people as possible. Plus they put this presentation together in about 3 days. So I really want to thank them for all the work that they've done. So thank you, Mayor, and the rest of the
Thank you very much. And you guys all did a great job. So thank you all for it. All right. At this time, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. And good night.
Good night, everybody.
night.
Thank you.
Good night.